A lot of people would see you as a sex kitten.
I was in love with her before I met her. How do you work with a Brooke Shields who is just barely, not quite 16, a youngster this age, about a serious subject like lovemaking? How do you...
Got a beautiful face, she has beautiful hair, eyes, nose, mouth, a beautiful body. I mean, she's incredible.
The nude swimming was doubled. Why didn't you do that as well?
Because I just felt my own self. I didn't want to do the nude scenes.
I think it's kind of fun.
You really are an exquisite-looking young lady. I know you've been told that, but isn't she a pretty girl?
They called me beautiful, a star, a phenomenon. And when they did, it was never really a question, it was an accusation. Did I miss my childhood? Did I understand what was happening to me? Was I being exploited? They wanted me to be miserable, but the truth is more complicated than that.
Do you see yourself as a 12-year-old girl, an actress, a model, an adult, a kid? Where do you see yourself?
I think myself as a 12-year-old kid, but that just has maybe more privileges and has experienced more than another 12-year-old kid.
People looked at me like I was a victim, but in my era, it wasn't seen that way. The world saw me as lucky, as a girl with everything. And in many ways, I was. I had opportunities, experiences, a mother who believed in me. But what they never understood was that my life wasn't just mine. I was barely old enough to read, but I was already selling fantasies. They called me the most beautiful baby in the world. But beauty, it comes with a cost. I was a model before I could talk. By the time I was 10, my mother had transformed me into something bigger than myself. An image, an idea, a symbol of something I never fully understood. But I trusted her. She saw something in me that the world confirmed.
The girl that you play in Louis Malle's film Pretty Baby, which is currently running, right, is a sexy girl. Do you, in real life now, think of yourself as sexy?
No. I mean, no, because I'm just 12, and I will be 13, and when I'm in a movie, I'm just acting the role. I'm not the person that's the role, and so I don't think that I'm sexy.
You don't think of yourself?
Then, at 12 years old, I was given a role that would define me, Pretty Baby. A film that would make me a sensation, that would make me respected, but also a film that would change the way the world looked at me, forever.
Don't we get a look before we buy?
Kids, you can look all you want. Just don't break the merchandise.
People ask if I knew what I was doing. No, I was 12. But I knew I was acting. I knew it was a role. The adults around me told me it was art. And in that era, art pushed boundaries. I wasn't seen as a child star. I was seen as a serious actress. I was proud. I still am. But the world didn't see it that way. They saw controversy, and all that controversy overshadowed all my hard work, all my talent and effort I put in making this movie. I didn't want pity, as I was strong. What happened, happened, but they saw me differently from that moment on.
Did the controversy make sense to you back then? Did you understand it? Did you see why there was some concern about you playing a role like that?
It was probably the only truly beautiful artistic film that I, to this day, feel like I've ever even been in. It's the one I'm the most proud of. It's art. It's not touching your real life as a child. So hindsight now, as a mother, as an older person who's lived a lot, I understand. I mean, I understand the problem with it. I understand how people saw that. It was a different era.
People talk about my innocence being taken, but what they don't realize is that I didn't even know I was supposed to feel differently. It was normal for me. This was my job. I was acting, but the world wasn't just watching me. They were seeing something I never saw in myself. I was asked over and over again if I regretted it, if I felt used, if I missed my childhood. But that's the thing. How do you miss something you never really had?
In our sort of little, trifecta, we had mom, me, and then we had alcohol. And as a young child, you learn to navigate an alcoholic. You learn to navigate an addict. And you become this person who's sort of hypervigilant. And that became such an important part of our life. I mean, I was 13 when I staged our first intervention.
My mother was everything. She built me, she protected me, but she also needed me more than I ever realized. People said she was a monster, but she was just human, a single mother trying to get us both through the industry. Behind all her flaws, she was strong, charming, kind, resilient. She loved me with everything she had. But she also had battles of her own. Alcoholism isn't something you recognize in a parent. When you're young, it's just part of them, part of life. As I got older, I became the one protecting her. I wanted to save her. I wanted to be strong for her, the way she had been strong for me. But there's a weight that comes with that, a weight that never really leaves you.
Mom lost her first child the day after the baby was born, and then she got pregnant with me, and she was so worried. I was 2 months premature, and she was so worried that I was going to die that she slept with me strapped to her chest. She tied diapers together and slept with me strapped to her chest, and would hold a mirror up in front of my face to make sure that the steam that I was alive. She was so afraid that I was going to die.
Mom would not stop drinking for me. It took me about 30 years to realize that nothing I did could make her stop. Regretfully, I do have to acknowledge that the most damaging element in my life was loving and being loved by an alcoholic mother.
Difficult business, and still am, but I would have been eaten alive if not for the veracity of my mother and this woman who would have killed for me.
The actress and model opening up for the first time publicly, saying she was the victim of sexual assault in her early 20s.
Really?
People love the glamour. They see the red carpets, the designer gowns, the flashing lights, and they think that must be the dream. And sure, it was. But what they don't see is the business. The industry isn't just about talent. It's about control. It's about perception.
Shields saying she was attacked by an unnamed Hollywood professional who lured her to his hotel room, saying, quote, "He said, 'Come back to the hotel and I'll call a cab.' And I go up to the hotel room and he disappears for a while." She says when he returned, he was naked and forced himself on her. "It was like wrestling. I was afraid I would get choked out or something. I didn't know. I played the scene out in my head, so I didn't fight that much. I just absolutely froze. I just thought, stay alive and get out."
That's why I talk about my experiences openly now. Not because I want pity, not because I regret my life, but because I know there are young girls and boys right now stepping into this industry, facing the same pressures I did. And they need to hear this. You have a right to say no.
How old are you?
I am 59.
And how old do you feel?
I feel 38. I definitely feel a youthfulness that I didn't feel in my younger years.
What kind of story do you think our society tells women about aging?
By the time you get to 50, they've just completely written you off.
You're done.
You are out to pasture. Society says, oh, if you're not the hot 20-something at the bar, you're an old lady. There's this whole demo in the middle that gets just they just overlooked.
The industry isn't as reckless as it was in my time. There are more protections now. But the core of it, the power, the way young girls are marketed, the way fame distorts reality, that hasn't changed. And it never will. So just be prepared and be aware and conscious of your actions.
I was at a cocktail party and I was having a nice conversation with a gentleman, and he was sort of, impressing me with his knowledge of wine, so I decided to talk about my vintage, and I said, oh, well, I'm 59, and he said, I wish you didn't tell me that. And I was shocked. It was a knee-jerk reaction because in that one moment, he had to understand his age. He had to understand that I was no longer like Blue Lagoon.
That's the thing about being young. You believe what people tell you. And they told me I was special. Why? Because of my beauty. I was more than that. I was smart, funny, caring, and had more things to show for myself, but all they talked about was my face.
And it's like surrounding yourself. I mean, I live for friends and people and relationships, and I like to give myself to my friends, and I think that it's important to have a support system.
I live a very happy life with my beautiful, smart daughters. I try to share my story to give awareness to those who face the same challenges I had. If it's, quote, exploitation, if it's alcoholism, aging remarks, whatever it is, just remember this beautiful story of life that we share. Live your life day by day. Embrace the beauty of light and dark of the world. And be strong and grateful for what it throws your way. Thank you.